Let me ask you this. Have you ever looked at someone and thought, how are they still winning after everything they did to me? You watch them lie, manipulate, betray, and walk away as if nothing happened. For a while, it looked like they were thriving, laughing, posting their filtered smiles, living a life untouched by consequences. And yet, something felt off, something you couldn't quite explain. That's where karma begins, not with noise, but in the quiet. Not in public humiliation, but in the privacy of their own mind. You see, karma doesn't always announce its arrival. Sometimes it slips in like a shadow unnoticed, and it starts working silently, dismantling them from the inside, piece by piece, thought by thought, day by day. The Stoics taught us something powerful. Don't concern yourself with the actions of others. Control what you can, yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that nature governs all things. So, we don't chase revenge. We don't need validation. We simply observe and trust that the universe always balances the scales. What if I told you the people who wronged you are already being judged? Not by you, not by society, but by something far deeper. What if their punishment has already begun, quietly, through restless sleep, ruined relationships, and the haunting guilt that no one else can see? Karma doesn't always break bones. It breaks peace. It breaks the illusion. It breaks the part of them they thought would never be touched. And today, here on Stoic Wind, we're going to look deeper. We'll uncover 5 hidden signs that someone is already receiving their karma silently. And as we go through each sign, I want you to comment below this powerful phrase. I trust the silence. I let karma do the talking. Repeat it. Declare it. Let it be your reminder, your armor. Because silence, that's where karma screams the loudest. In modern times, karma is often misunderstood. People see it as instant punishment, something cinematic and dramatic. But the Stoics had a much deeper, quieter understanding of it. They didn't believe in magical revenge. They believed in nature, in balance, and in the internal collapse that comes when you live out of harmony with virtue. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's not just a noble idea, it's a strategy. Because the moment you seek revenge, you tie yourself to your enemy's chaos. But the moment you detach and remain rooted in your own principles, you become untouchable. In Stoicism, karma isn't a force that punishes. It's a consequence that unfolds. The ancient Stoics trusted that when someone acts against nature, against reason, against justice, against truth, they create their own downfall. They disturb their inner peace. They invite confusion, anxiety, and chaos into their own lives. And that, right there, is the beginning of karmic return. From a psychological perspective, especially in the shadows of dark psychology, when someone manipulates or harms others, they often believe they've won. But beneath that surface confidence is a festering weakness, a crack in their soul, and over time that crack widens. It shows up in their failed relationships, their paranoia, their need to constantly prove themselves. It shows up in the emptiness they can't fill. No matter how loud they laugh or how many followers they gain. You, on the other hand, must do something radically different. You stay centered. You walk away with your peace intact. You master the art of letting go. And while they slowly burn inside the prison of their own mind, you rise. If you're with me on this path, drop a comment now. I master my peace. I leave revenge to the universe. Say it like you mean it. Because when you stop reacting, you start evolving. Let's now go even deeper, into the real end signs that karma is already at work in someone's life. The first silent sign that someone is receiving their karma is isolation, and it happens without explanation. You might notice them suddenly losing connections, friends pulling away, opportunities slipping, doors quietly closing. No scandal, no loud betrayal, just distance, like life itself is withdrawing energy from them, slowly, strategically, without a single word. This is karma working through social energy. See, when someone mistreats others, especially with manipulation or cruelty, they may appear to win for a time, but over the long haul, their energy becomes poisonous. People feel it on a subconscious level. Even without knowing the full story, others start to step back. And the Stoics would say this is natural. Epictetus taught us, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. When a person poisons their own character with injustice or arrogance, they shape how others begin to perceive them, even if no one says it out loud. You may see them trying harder and harder to stay relevant, more posts, more noise. But there's a difference between being seen and being valued. Their circle becomes smaller, their impact starts to shrink. The silence they once imposed on others now returns to haunt them. This isn't punishment, it's natural withdrawal. Life is quietly correcting itself, and those who once thrived on control begin to lose their grip, not in one big crash, but in a slow and suffocating drift into loneliness. You don't have to wish for it. You don't even have to watch it. You just need to remember, karma doesn't always destroy it, it isolates. This resonates. I want you to type below, my silence is strength. The universe is my justice. Let the world know that you don't chase revenge. You outgrow the need for it. Are you ready for the next sign? Let's move on to something even deeper. The repetition of unseen suffering. The second silent sign of karma is something most people never notice. Repetition of unseen suffering. From the outside, their life may still look stable, maybe even successful, but behind that mask, the same painful patterns keep repeating: failed relationships, betrayals from their own circle, losses they can't explain. They jump from person to person, job to job, thrill to thrill, always trying to escape something they refuse to face. Karma doesn't just punish, it teaches. And when someone doesn't learn the lesson, the universe gives them the same situation, over and over again, each time with a sharper edge. That's the cycle of suffering they enter. Quiet, endless, and invisible to the untrained eye. According to Stoic philosophy, this is the cost of living without awareness. Seneca said, "Fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling." The unwilling, those who refuse self-examination, are dragged through life by the very forces they try to control. That's what makes it karma. Not because it's vengeful, but because it's corrective. And nature has a way of circling back around until your actions align with virtue. In dark psychology, this is called the loop of self-sabotage. The guilty rarely suffer in ways the world can see. They suffer internally, caught in a storm of regret, shame, paranoia. But because their ego won't let them admit the truth, they suffer again and again, until there's nothing left but bitterness and broken pattern. You, on the other hand, don't need to intervene. You don't need to make them pay, because the cycle they're trapped in is the price, and the longer they deny it, the more it consumes them. If you're watching this and you've seen someone stuck in this loop, comment below. I rise above patterns. I walk in clarity, not chaos. Let them stay where they are. You're not here to sink. You're here to ascend. Not get ready, because in the next sign, we're going to reveal the one thing no mask can hide. Inner turmoil behind fake smiles. The third sign that someone is quietly receiving their karma is something the world rarely notices: because it hides behind a smile. Not just any smile, but the kind that seems a little too polished, a little too perfect, like it's trying to prove something. You'll see them laughing, celebrating, posting their highlight reel. But if you pay attention, not to their words, but to the energy behind them, you'll sense it. Something isn't right. This is the silent storm. Inner turmoil, and it's relentless. You see, karma doesn't always strike externally. Sometimes it's far more ruthless. It turns inward. It eats at the peace a person once had, because no matter how good they are at faking it, no matter how much they try to project confidence or happiness, they cannot escape the weight of what they've done. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." So what happens when those thoughts are infected with guilt, regret, or the memory of those they've harmed? What happens when they can't stop replaying what they did, or fearing it'll come back? Their mind becomes a battlefield. Their ego becomes a prison. Outwardly, they'll try to compensate. More photos, more laughs, more achievements. They want to convince everyone, including themselves, that they're winning. But behind all that noise is silence. And in that silence, they suffer. From a psychological perspective, especially through the lens of dark psychology, this is known as cognitive dissonance. It's what happens when a person's actions and self-implement no longer align. The guilt doesn't always show up as tears. It can show up as insomnia, anxiety, over-explaining, or needing constant validation. They keep running, hoping to escape their own reflection, but it always catches up. Meanwhile, the Stoic stays rooted. You don't need to chase revenge. You don't need to expose anyone, because the universe already assigned them the perfect punishment, being stuck with themselves. So when you see someone wearing a fake smile that doesn't reach their eyes, don't be fooled. That's not peace. That's performance. And eventually, it collapses. If you feel this truth, take a moment now and comment below. I live in truth. I let the liars drown in their illusions. This is how you win, not by fighting fire with fire, but by choosing not to burn at all. You rise quietly. They fall silently. Let's go deeper, into a sign that shakes the very foundation of their illusion. Loss of power, the collapse of influence. The fourth sign that someone is silently receiving their karma is the sudden loss of influence or power. But this downfall doesn't always arrive with fireworks or public disgrace. Often it comes like a whisper, gradual, almost invisible, unless you're paying attention. The person who once commanded attention, who dominated conversations and pulled others' strings effortlessly, begins to notice something shift. People stop listening. Their words no longer land with the same force. The air around them feels hollow. This is the quiet unraveling of control. People who rely on manipulation, charm, or fear to stay on top often build an identity rooted in being needed or feared. Their self-worth depends on how many people orbit around them. But when karma arrives, it doesn't always scream. It starves. It removes the energy they once fed on. One by one, people pull away. Not with conflict, but with silence. Doors start closing. Influence fades. Power slips through their fingers. The Stoics warned us of this kind of collapse. Epictetus taught, "Seek not the good in external things, seek it in yourself." When your power comes from position, approval, or control, it is temporary by nature. Real strength, the kind karma cannot touch, comes from virtue, from living justly, honestly, steadily. So when someone misuses their influence, Stoicism doesn't promise revenge. It promises consequence, quiet, inevitable. In the realm of dark psychology, This is called the collapse of the false self. A person so dependent on their image begins to break when that image loses its power. They try to regain it. More posts, louder voices, exaggerated claims. But it only exposes the desperation beneath, and no one respects desperation. As someone walking the Stoic path, your role isn't to interfere, it's to observe. You remain calm as they spiral, because you never built your identity on applause. You built it on principle. That's why you're still rising, while they quietly fall. You've seen this happen. If you know someone whose power is crumbling behind the scenes, comment this below. I stand in principle. That is my strength. Speak it into existence. Because real influence needs no force. It flows from truth. And truth always survives. Let's move into the heart of internal karma. The kind that doesn't need people or power to destroy someone. Guilt. Quiet, constant, unrelenting. The fifth and perhaps most devastating sign of silent karma is unshakable guilt. The kind that doesn't scream, but whispers constantly. It doesn't show up with grand punishments or public downfalls. It arrives in the dead of night, in the silence between moments, in the pauses between conversations. It becomes the shadow they can't escape. When someone betrays, manipulates, or harms others, they often move on as if nothing happened. They tell themselves stories to justify it. I had no choice. They deserved it. It wasn't that bad. But the truth is, no matter how loud the lies are, the soul knows, the conscience keeps score, and karma begins its work within. The Stoics believed that the worst punishment is not public shame. It's a corrupted soul. Seneca wrote, "He who does wrong is more wretched than he who suffers it." Why? Because wrongdoing doesn't just hurt others, it scars the self. The more someone runs from that truth, the more it festers. That guilt begins to eat away at their confidence, their peace, their ability to be alone with themselves. From the outside they might still look whole, but inside they're splitting. They feel the weight every time they see your face, hear your name, or encounter a situation that reminds them of what they did. That memory becomes a loop they can't escape, and as time goes on, that guilt starts leaking into everything they touch. Relationships, sleep, mood, health. It's a virus with no cure. In dark psychology, this is the point where the mind turns on itself. The ego tries to protect them with denial, but the subconscious mind rebels. That inner conflict leads to emotional instability, self-sabotage, and isolation. They may not even understand why they feel so lost. And now you do, because you've seen the damage they caused. And now you're watching the damage return. But here's the Stoic truth. You don't need to say a word. You don't need to confront or remind them. Karma already assigned them a cell, and guilt is the jailer. The more they resist, the heavier the chains become. If you believe in the silent power of natural justice, I want you to comment below, "I rest in peace." They live with the truth. Let that be your power, not in revenge, but in restraint, because what haunts them can never touch you. Up next, we talk about the most powerful Stoic response of all. Why you must stay calm and let the universe do its work. After everything you've seen, the silence, the guilt, the downfall, there's one principle that must guide you above all. Remain calm and let the universe do its work. That calmness, it's not passivity, it's power, it's discipline, it's the highest form of self-restraint, because most people, when they are wronged, want immediate justice. They want to witness the fall. They crave closure, apologies, even public humiliation. But here's the truth. They don't need to fall in front of you for justice to be served. The Stoics taught us that the greatest revenge is not reacting. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. That means you don't chase outcomes. You don't beg the universe to show you proof. You rise above it. You detach, not because it doesn't hurt, but because your peace matters more than punishment. Real strength isn't in the reaction, it's in the restraint. Every time you obsess over whether someone is suffering, you give them space in your mind. Every time you check their life to see if karma has arrived, you chain yourself to the pain they caused. But when you let go, truly let go, you reclaim your life. You stop bleeding energy into the past, and you start bleeding your future. Quietly, steadily, powerfully. Understand this: karma doesn't work on your timeline. It doesn't take requests, but it always delivers. And when you stop trying to control it, life begins to align itself in your favor. The same people who hurt you will face themselves one day, and you won't need to be there when they do, because by then you'll have moved on to something greater. Even dark psychology agrees. Those who dwell on revenge weaken themselves, but those who step away with silent confidence, they become terrifyingly powerful. They become free. And that freedom, that emotional indifference, is what Stoicism gives you. You don't react, you transit. In comment below right now: I let go, I level up, I am untouchable in silence. Let it echo, let it anchor your mindset, because the more you master yourself, the more the universe moves in your favor, not through revenge, but through alignment. Let's talk about the trap so many fall into: retaliation. Why it ruins your power, and why the Stoics warn you: never play that game. The moment you seek revenge, you fall into the same darkness they tried to drag you into. Retaliation feels tempting. It promises justice, but in reality, it ties you to the pain you are trying to escape. Epictetus said, "When someone wrongs you, it's their problem, unless you make it yours. When you strike back, you become like them. You lose control of your inner world." Stoicism forbids revenge because it knows peace is more powerful than pride. Even dark psychology agrees. Retaliation shows they still control you. But silence? Silence is terrifying. Growth is the loudest response. You don't get even, you get better. Let them burn in their own fire. You stay cold, calm, and gone. Comment below if you feel this. I don't chase revenge. I become unreachable. Power isn't in reacting. It's in mastering yourself. And when they realize they can't touch you anymore, that's karma. Let this truth settle deep within you. Karma doesn't always arrive with thunder. Sometimes it whispers. It moves in silence, behind closed doors, inside restless minds. While they pretend to be fine, while they smile for the world, karma is already at work, and your role is not to interfere but to remain unmoved. That's what it means to walk the Stoic path. You don't seek revenge. You don't watch from the sidelines hoping for collapse. You stay calm, composed, and completely unbothered. And because your power doesn't come from what happens to others, it comes from the discipline within yourself. You've now learned the signs, the silence, the suffering, the guilt, the loss of control. You've seen how karma moves when no one's watching, and if you're still here, that means you're not here to play the victim. You're here to evolve. You're here to become something terrifyingly powerful, a person no one can shake. So I want you to do two things now. First, drop this in the comments. I trust the silence. I rise through stillness. I am Stoic wind, not just to show support, but to declare who you're becoming. A calm storm, a quiet force, a mind forged in fire. And second, don't stop here. Keep growing, keep learning. There are other videos on this channel that will reshape how you think, how you react, and how you dominate your emotions. Watch the next one, then the one after that. Let this channel become your mental training ground. If you felt power in this message, if it shifted even one thought in your mind, hit the like button right now. Subscribe to Stoic Wind and turn on notifications, because every week I drop new videos that sharpen your focus, elevate your mindset, and train you to become untouchable. Let karma whisper, let others fall. You rise, silently, powerfully, unshaken. You are Stoic Wind,